Welcome to Sober Talk. I'm Dennis and I have lived experience of alcohol. If you or anyone you know is struggling with alcohol, please call Alcoholics Anonymous on 1300 222222 or check out their website on aa.org.au. I'll just run through the preamble of Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other. They must solve their common problems and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses or opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics achieve sobriety.
Hi, my name's John and I'm an alcoholic. I used to really love drinking. From the first time I drank, I completely fell in love with it. I loved how it made me feel. I loved the feeling of just losing control and not giving a shit about anything. I loved the feeling of getting drunk. The whole concept of social drinking, it never even crossed my mind. I always, from my first drink, drank to get drunk. If I wasn't getting drunk, I might as well have been drinking soft drink. The first time I drank was at a party. I went there with a 6-pack of beer as a 15-year-old. I left having drank someone else's bottle of spirits. I got in a fight. I got beat up. I vomited all the way home out of my friend's car, and I thought it was the greatest night I'd ever had. I just fell in love with it. It became an obsession. The next 12 years of my life, I really can't remember very much of it, except the fact that I drank a lot. Most of the social encounters I have are in absolute blackout. And the only recollection I have is of people telling me afterwards how I got thrown out of a pub or I shut down a party or some other atrocious behaviour. But I loved the feeling of getting drunk. I loved the feeling of losing control. And I was so convinced I was having such a great time. Through high school, I had a part-time job and it gave me enough money to buy 4 bottles of spirits. And that would be my Friday and Saturday night, every fortnight for 2 years. When I got to university, I discovered both cask wine and I could subsist off bar snacks and go from one happy hour to a happy hour. I don't think I went to maybe 20% of classes. I went to bar to bar to bar. Then when I started working, I got a credit card and well, there was no stopping me then. I could drink every night of the week, one nightclub to the next. I used to think I was really lucky. I never got hungover. I never had to deal with any of the ill effects of alcohol afterwards. I'd wake up the next day chipper, ready to go. So no repercussions for my drinking at that stage. And everyone was young, everyone was drinking. It was so easy to surround myself with people like me who just wanted to drink. They were in no short supply in university in my early 20s. And whilst all these other people, these friends, they went off and they played sports and had girlfriends and were starting to build lives, I just went from one to the other, just continuing to drink until drinking was all I did and all that I knew. Every day of the week, I'd be drinking to get drunk. When bad things happened because of my drinking, it was never my fault. It's always everybody else's fault if I wasn't allowed in the pub. If they all drank properly, if they all drank like I did, well, I'd be allowed in and everyone would be having so much of a better time than sitting around and nursing their drinks. When my front teeth got knocked out, it never even crossed my mind it could have been because I was a drunken idiot. It was somebody else's fault. It wasn't anything I was doing. I was just enjoying a drink. But looking back, how on earth would I know? I came out of blackout with my teeth missing. I was a constant source of worry for everyone around me with my drinking. But I was so scared to do anything else. I was scared to change because after drinking for a decade, and I didn't know anything else. I remember I was involved in a police siege because of alcohol. One of my good friends ended up getting shot by the police, and I drove my car 400 kilometres away and managed to wrap it around a gum tree, completely off my face. I got arrested, I got charged, I got taken home by my parents. And then I bought some more wine and sat on the back porch and proceeded to get blind drunk. I remember Mum and Dad being so upset. I remember Mum screaming at me, "John, why can't you stop drinking?" And I remember screaming back, "It's the only thing I'm good at. It's the only thing I'm worth doing." I'd given up hope of ever achieving anything else in my life. All I wanted to do was drink. And this was just a speed hump. And, this wasn't my fault. Shortly after this, I met my ex-wife and we fell in love with each other. She was wild. She was a drinker too. We were like Sid and Nancy. It was a matter of time before something went horribly wrong, and it did. Did some horrible things in blackout. I can't remember them. I just got her word to go off. But after that, I made a resolution to stop drinking. And I did for 7 years. I didn't do it with a program. I did it by myself. I just did it cold turkey. And at the start, what a relationship was good and we were in love. It was fantastic. I got a career. I started going places. I got my health back. We had 2 beautiful children. And we got married. But then, as the relationship started to not be so good, without a program, I started to feel like drinking again. I didn't understand my drinking because I didn't have a program. I didn't understand, but I still had all the character defects. I didn't understand that I was white-knuckling it and relying on someone else for my sobriety. And it wasn't long before I was sneaking out and drinking every night. It felt like a release. It felt like something I deserved because I was working so hard with my job and with the kids and providing and keeping everything up and running. I thought I deserved to be able to sneak out at night and drink on the back porch. We were sleeping in separate rooms by then, so it was easy to do. She didn't notice this for about a year until she caught me with a bottle of vodka. But by then the relationship was blown completely. It wasn't necessarily very good, but I was pouring fuel on the fire because I was irritable because all I wanted to do was drink again. Again, it was all I knew, and I didn't want to spend time with her or my children or anything else. I wanted them all to fuck off and go to bed so I could sneak out and drink alcohol. About 3 months later, I got what we wanted and we separated. She stayed up on the Sunshine Coast and I moved an hour away closer to work, and all of a sudden I could drink as much as I wanted to. And I drank every day again. I started going to pubs and clubs, but I found that I couldn't really get drunk enough or socialise. I spent most of my time drinking by myself. And I was so convinced I was having such a good time, dancing with a dog and calling up old friends and complaining about my wife and all the rest of it. Until 6 months later, she met someone else and she took the children down to Melbourne, 1,500 kilometres away. And I didn't see it at the time, but I was so afraid. I was so scared that I didn't fight it. And I didn't see it at the time. I was so much in the sway of the drink, and it was so much in control of my life and my decisions that I just let it go. But without having my children nearby, the drinking just went to another level. A couple of bottles of wine became a couple of bottles of wine and a bottle of spirits. And I stopped calling friends and being sociable because, well, no one wanted to hear my shit anymore. I was alone and I was drinking on my back porch every night. But I was still so convinced that life was good and I was happy. And I had everything that I needed and everything that I wanted. It wasn't long from then until I started drinking during the day as well as at night. It wasn't long until I lost my job and my career. 7 years of hard work had just been destroyed. 7 years of sobriety. I'd lost my family, I'd lost my job, and I was alone. I was so far away from my family that I didn't know what to do. So, I did a geographical. I signed up for a locum company and decided that I was going to travel around the country and just drink myself to death. Because by that stage, I was so depressed and I thought that was all I was good at and that was all I was good for. So I started backfilling one hospital to the other and just drinking. Drinking in places where people didn't know me, where I didn't care if I made an ass of myself in public because I'd be gone and I'd meet the next town. And I had all these bullshit ideas in my head that I was going to do touristy things and learn to surf and whatnot, but it was just one bottle to the next. That was all that I cared about. It was all that I cared for. Even my death by bottle plan and travelling the country plan, I couldn't even do that properly, but COVID lockdowns happened and I got stuck in regional South Australia. And all of it came crashing to a stop. All of a sudden I was locked in a hotel 1,500 kilometres away from anyone I knew, and drinking just continued to worsen. About that time, my children got taken off my ex-wife. She'd found herself a new partner who was beating the absolute shit out of her and my kids. I'd reported it to DCP and they'd gone and they hadn't taken the children off her, but they refused to give them to me because of my drinking. This gave me some pause for a little while in my drinking. I reached out and started dabbling in some AA meetings, but I went, but I didn't listen. I wasn't convinced that there was anything wrong with me. I was still so arrogant and convinced that the problem was everyone else. And if everyone else had a good time, and if everyone else drank like I did, then no one would have a problem. I came and I sat there, but I didn't really listen. I didn't really take it in. And although, I drank less, I stopped being an everyday drinker. When I did drink, my drinking continued to worsen. About this time, I stopped measuring trips in the car in kilometres. Trips were in how many long necks I could neck on a drive through there, and then how drunk I could get when I got there. There was always enough for a family Christmas in my cupboard to drink at any given moment, and if it wasn't, I wasn't comfortable with it. I got a permanent job where I was living, and to get myself into a position where I could take those girls as an alternative for them staying with their grandmother who was violent, I got myself a girlfriend. Things started in some ways to look better, but my drinking, it just continued to worsen and worsen, and it wasn't long at all till I was back at a point where I was completely out of control. And I was drinking every day. The girlfriend couldn't stick around. She couldn't bear to sit there and watch me kill myself. As much as she loved me and I loved her, as much as we talked about a future, she just saw what everyone else saw in an early grave coming my way. I lost her, and at about the same time my ex-wife, who'd got our children back by then, she cut me off from any sort of contact with the kids. She was too scared of my drinking. She was too scared of the person that I was becoming. And this was the last straw. This was rock bottom to beat all rock bottoms for me. And as I was sitting there, I was determined to drink myself to death. I had bought myself 4 bottles of spirits, and I was going to drink them. And for some reason, for Providence, I decided to reach out to a friend I'd made in AA and ask for help. For some reason, I decided that maybe it was worth giving a shot. Maybe after all this time, it had been a drink doing me harm and not everybody else. She couldn't help me. She wasn't in a great place at the time, but I think that was Providence. She was able to put me in contact with someone who did. And it was the first time when I was speaking to someone that I felt that connection, and I felt that this person actually has a solution for me. I wanted what they had. I can't even remember what I said that day, but it was probably absolute self-pitying dribble. But this beautiful man who turned out to be my sponsor, he sat there and he listened to me. And he took it all in and he said, well, he asked me the 3 questions. Do you think you got a problem? Yeah. Do you think you can do it on your own? No. Are you willing to go to any length possible? Then yes, and I'm glad I answered him correctly for him. He got me to order the book, which I did straight away because I wanted what he had. I didn't even know what it was then, but I wanted it. I remember I ordered the book and I was going to be sober that day, so I went in and I had a shower, and I remember just everything coming in at me at once and just lying there in a pool of my own mess, just crying for about 3 hours. I was so scared and overwhelmed. But I stayed sober. About a week later, a book arrived and I was like a man possessed. I got told what to do, what to read, how to interact with the book, and I did it. And every night we would discuss it and tell me what to do next. And all these things that I was so blasé about before and so determined they weren't for me, I started identifying with, and I started seeing myself in the text and my behaviours in the text. I was starting to feel okay with the idea of not drinking. I remember him say, are you ready? Are you ready to start living on a higher plane of existence? And yes, I am. And, writing down the moral inventory. And it became so clear to me, even before that beautiful man drove 700 kilometres to come down and sit down and work through it with me, that I'd always been afraid. I'd always been so scared of everything in life. And that was the root cause of all my bad decisions. At every point where I'd built up a resentment in life, where something had gone, my fear had been lying there at the heart of it, and my inaction and my turning to a bottle rather than taking any sort of ownership of my own life. I'll never forget how good it felt to sit there and share that inventory with him. To pray on it at night. And then the next morning when I woke up, just a feeling of release, the feeling of being reborn as a completely new person was absolutely incredible. And now it's there with me every single day, that feeling. It's hard to describe, but it's just amazing, of not having to carry that fear, of being able to be fearless if I just continue to work this really, really simple program. I'm not cured of my character defects that caused me to be an alcoholic. I'm not cured of the fear of the people-pleasing, of the low self-worth. But with 10 minutes of prayer every day in the morning and reflection every night, with calling up and talking to my sponsor about resentments as they come up rather than bottling them up and swallowing them down, I get to have a close relationship with God. I get to be in touch with my spiritual side, and life just keeps getting better and better and better. I'm not scared of people anymore. I'm not scared that the person I am isn't good enough for anything more than another bottle and another drink. I live life one day at a time, and that way it's not overwhelming. I've no control over people, places and things, but I have the superpower to choose how I react to things and to live by a set of values as opposed to one drink to the next. And it's amazing. I get to know contentment now, and I get to know acceptance that maybe life isn't exactly how I want it, but it's exactly how it's supposed to be. Life is a different type of scary now. It's a type of scary because there's so many things in life I don't know or don't do because all I did was spend so many years just being a drunk. But I've got a simple program that lets me conquer my fears and the ability to get out and try new things and push myself in different ways I never knew that I'd enjoy it so much. I never knew that I'd enjoy learning new skills and new sports. I never knew that I could have so much fun with other people while sober, rather than just being drunk, oblivious and obnoxious and not really caring about what anyone else ever thought. I'm 10 months sober and I love my life. I'm reconnecting with my children and rebuilding that relationship, which I let go through the bottle, through my inaction. I'm making amends to all the people that I hurt along the way with my selfish, dishonest, self-seeking behaviour. I love my life, I love the fellowship, and I love being able to look forward to whatever the future brings. I don't dwell on it. I live in the moment. In the moment now, it's fantastic. Getting sober was the best thing that I've ever done.
We have local meetings for the full week in the local area. Monday is Gala meeting at 8 o'clock. Tuesday is Elizabeth East at 8 o'clock. Wednesday is Elizabeth East at 8 o'clock. Thursday is Two Wells at 8 o'clock. And Friday is Salisbury at 8 o'clock. There's a meeting at Daveron Park at 12 o'clock. And on Sunday there's a meeting in Salisbury at 7 o'clock. And many other meetings in the area. For details of your local meetings, please phone 1300 22 22 22. And once again, if anyone you know is struggling with alcohol issues, please call Alcoholics Anonymous on 1300 22 22 22. The website is aaSouthAustralia.org.au.